What's going on, gravel enthusiasts and bike rider extraordinaires? Here we got the Kona Sutra 2022 model out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, out for a little gravel ride up here at the top of a pretty big hill. Some of you might be asking, does the Kona Sutra make a good gravel bike? We know that it has a long-standing history of bicycle touring and commuting. It's got all the mounts for fenders and racks that one might want. But what about the geometry? What about the tire clearance? What about the gearing? Is it slow because it's steel and heavy? I'm happy to report that so far on this ride, this has been a great off-road gravel bike. We have the Schwalbe Mondial 40C tires. These are actually not bad. They grip pretty good, equally to the Riddlers, 37C Riddlers that I have on my other gravel bike. It does have tire clearance for up to 2.1 by 29. Supposedly people have put 2.2s on here. The nice thing is this chainstay, you can't really tell, but it dives in quite a bit right there. So you can fit 650B by up to 66 mil, according to Reddit. So would I swap out the tires for something a little bit bigger, a little bit more cushy? Sure. Make it a little bit more gravel friendly. But for these trails, this works out great. It's got great geometry. The one thing that I really like about this bike is it has similar geometry to the Kona Sutra LTD 2020 model. If you go to bikeinsights.com, you can see that tire clearance all the way down. Go to bikeinsights.com, put in the same size frame for the 2020 LTD, the 2022 Sutra base model. You'll find that the geometries are identical. The only difference is, I think, the bottom bracket size. The LTD can take up to a 2.25, although I imagine people have squeezed bigger tires in there. But if you're the kind of gravel rider like me, where a 2.0 or a 2.1 is plenty big enough, then this bike might be the bike for you. All the mounts that you would want for bike packing, commuting, and touring. It's got a lot of cool logos here. Got the Sutra Buffalo, pretty sweet looking. If you wanted to make this slightly better bike for gravel, you could consider putting on a 1x. I got a 2x on here, 30 to 46. GRX, FSA crank, GRX front and rear derailleur, 11 speed, 11 to 34. You could put a road link or get the GRX 812 and put a 11 to 42 and get yourself a real nice 20 gear inch for the steeper hills. But this bike is very comfortable. I've got the upgraded Cell Royale, I don't know. I like Royale, sounds kind of cooler. Respiro athletic seat, super comfortable. The most comfortable seat I have ever used in my entire life. Right out of the box. The nice thing about Kona is they give you plenty of space. Let's see if we focus. Plenty of space on the steer tube to raise and lower that stem. I have it lowered quite a bit. It's in about halfway down, halfway up, depending on how you look at life. And right now, it's a sweet mix between upright, comfortable, around town commuting, yet low enough to give you really good responsiveness climbing the hills. If you put it all the way at the top, it gives you a very relaxed ride for commuting and touring. but makes it a little bit awkward when you're climbing loaded out of the saddle. You could drop it even more, slam that stem all the way down. It's got a 50 mil stem stock. You could put a 100 or 110 mil stem and stretch it out if you wanted to really get aero on this thing, but that's not what this bike's about. If you want a gravel racer, if you want a road bike that can fit 40C or 45C tires, this probably isn't the bike for you. You don't need the extra weight, you don't need the steel, you don't need the versatility or the comfort. You're looking for speed, you're looking for lightweight. Get something like the Topstone, the Cannondale Topstone. It's got the full carbon fork and aluminum frame. It's lighter weight, it's very responsive, all internal cable routing. This isn't for that fast riding, although you can go decently fast on this, but if you're looking to be king of the hill, do some PRs, probably not going to do it on this bike. I wouldn't say that it's a heavy bike. It's not lightweight, but it's not unwieldy. It still is responsive. It doesn't feel sluggish, but and it does feel a little snappy compared to some of the other bikes I have, even though it has the same top tube length as pretty much every other bike I've owned. It's a nice blend of feeling like you're riding on top of the bike, but sitting slightly in the bike. So what that means is, if you've ever been on a hardtail, you'll feel like you're sitting in the bike. If it's super slacked out, you're sitting in the bike. On road bikes, you might feel like you're sitting on top of the bike. This is kind of a blend of both. You're sitting on top, slightly in the bike. You don't feel like you're sluggish and slacked out. You don't feel like your weight distribution is too far forward and you're sitting on top of the bike. You're riding comfortably with the bike. You're not riding on top of the bike. You're not riding in the bike. You're in a very good position. And I can't really explain it better than that, except go and test ride a bunch of bikes. Hardtails, full suspension, gravel bikes, road bikes of different brands, and you'll see what I mean about how it feels to ride different bikes and their geometry. But this gives you a really nice feel of riding with the bike, that it's taking you on a journey rather than feeling like you're on top, like you're gonna fall over the bike, or that it's too sluggish. The one thing I love about the Shimano GRX, these Jockey wheels are huge compared to the Diors and the other derailleurs I have. Huge Jockey wheels, super easy to disassemble and take apart. There's an Allen key on the other side. You could take them apart, clean them, lube them up, put them all back together. They got some bearings in there, super nice. Got the got that clutch on all the way. Super stiff chain. Hope you guys like checking out the Kona Sutra here. This is not the LTD, it's not the SE, it's the 2x. It's new for 2022. So if you guys are thinking about buying this bike or interested in it, highly recommend checking it out. You could also hop on the Kona Rove. That'd be very similar as well if your Kona store doesn't have the Sutra. Although I do recommend getting on the bike that you plan on buying. And I recommend riding it a couple times. Don't just ride it once. Every time I ride this bike, it just feels more and more comfortable. Changing the saddle position, back or front, tilting it a little different, raising that seat height, getting that stem dialed in, getting the tire pressures right. All that greatly changes your riding experience and makes the bike feel super, super good. So get on the bike, get fitted on it, and take it out for a spin. Take it out for half an hour. If you're going to spend $2,000 on a bike, don't take it for a 5 or a 10 minute test ride. Take it out for half an hour. You're going to be living with this bike for 10 years at least or more. You're going to take this bike all over the world perhaps. Give it the time it deserves and try it out and get on it a few times, 2 or 3 times, 4 times, and see if it's the right bike for you. GRX levers. Got this cool moose bag. Got the water in here. Got some snacks. Got some bars. Got this. Go to your secondhand bike store. $10. $10 for this Toe Peak expandable rear saddle bag. Got the pump in there. Got the multi-tool. Got the wrenches. Got a spare tube. Very, very nice. Just another quick snapshot of this dirty girl. This is the Kona Sutra. We're out here in the Pacific Northwest riding around some, it says no trespassing. They're not privately owned. It's city property, I believe. Some power lines and old logging roads. Don't recommend trespassing, but you know, if you happen to find yourself in the woods with no one around, sometimes it happens. And I just want to say, this bike's awesome. Getting out here and getting off the road really just shows how versatile this bike is. I primarily do commuting and bike touring, which is what this bike really is designed for. But because it's got all the rack and mounts and geometry and everything for that. But you know, a lot of people talk about the LTD as being the sort of gnarlier older brother of the Kona Sutra SE, but this thing is a really nice blend of both bikes. Being able to commute, I'll just go home and toss a rear rack on here and be good to go for work on Monday. And then today I just slap that little saddlebag on and take off the rear rack and rip it around some of these trails. So I gotta get home, but thanks guys for watching. Highly recommend going to your local Kona dealer and seeing if you can get your hands on test riding one of these things. Cheers.